All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're tackling a big one. What does it actually take to become a real expert in Indian knowledge systems? IKS. I mean, this field is absolutely massive. It's so vast, it can feel impossible to even know where to start.
So yeah, let's just ask the question head on. How do you go from just being curious, maybe reading a few articles online, to having a really deep, authentic grasp of it all? Is there a path you can follow, a roadmap? Because it's so easy to get tangled up in secondhand translations and other people's opinions. What does the real journey, the path to mastery, actually look like?
Well, guess what? It turns out there is one. We've got our hands on a structured roadmap that's been designed for this exact purpose, to walk a dedicated learner step by step through all the complexities of IKS. So, okay, let's jump in and see what this journey is all about. Okay, first things first, the journey starts with building a really solid foundation. You can't just jump into ancient texts, right? You've got to understand two key things first: what IKS actually means in India today, and the core philosophical ideas that really form the bedrock of the whole system. So the first thing to get your head around is that IKS isn't some dusty old thing from the past. No way. It's an active national academic project in India right now. You've got modern policies, like the National Education Policy of 2020, that are actively trying to weave this knowledge into today's education. So understanding that modern context, that's step one, absolutely crucial. All right, now this next part is where it gets really interesting, because it goes right to the philosophical core of it all, how knowledge was even thought about. You've got to get familiar with these huge concepts like dharma, think ethics and cosmic law. Then there's pramona, which is all about the ways of knowing. How do we prove something is true? And rita, this idea of a cosmic natural order that governs everything. These aren't just vocabulary words, they're like the operating system for this entire way of thinking. Okay, so once you've got that foundation laid, we get to what this roadmap calls the very heart of the quest. This is the big one. The journey takes you straight to the source. And listen, this is a huge deal. The roadmap is absolutely crystal clear on this. Engaging directly with the original texts is completely non-negotiable, period. If you want to be a real expert, you simply can't rely on someone else's summary or their take on it. You have to go to the source yourself. So what does that actually mean? Well, you'd be diving straight into something like the Aryabhatiya. And we're not just talking philosophy here. This is a groundbreaking work of mathematics and astronomy that literally changed science. It just goes to show you the incredible scientific depth we're talking about in IKS. But the sheer scope is just mind-boggling. You'd also be tackling Kautilya's Arthashastra. I mean, this is a massive text on everything from statecraft and economics to ethics and military strategy. So in one moment, you're looking at the cosmos and math, and the next, you're deep in the weeds of how to run a society. And it's not just about abstract theories and politics either. The journey also takes you to works like the Natya Shastra, which is basically the foundational text for all the performing arts in India. We're talking dance, music, theater, the whole shebang. It really shows you that IKS is just as much about art, culture, and human expression. So what's the point of all this? What's the big takeaway from this stage? It's that you become source literate. That's the goal. You can finally form your own genuinely informed opinions because you've actually read the stuff yourself. You're no longer dependent on what somebody else tells you it says. Okay, so you've got the modern context down, you've wrestled with the primary sources. What's next? Well, according to the roadmap, now it's time to build a bridge from that ancient world straight to the present day. And this is where it all comes together. This part is all about connecting that ancient knowledge to modern fields of study. Take something like Wootz steel, that legendary super strong metal. Today that's part of material science. Or the ancient medical text, the Charaka Samhita. It has direct lines to modern medicine and public health. And Panini's incredible work on grammar, it's foundational not just for linguistics, but even for computer science and logic. And the payoff for doing this, it's huge. Because once you build these bridges, you gain the ability to actually discuss and, defend Indian knowledge systems in today's world using the language of modern academia. You can show people why it's still relevant, and you can do it in a way that just makes sense to everyone. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds incredibly deep and also like a ton of work. And you're right. So the final part of this roadmap gets really practical. It tackles the big question: how much time does this whole journey actually take? I mean, it's the obvious question, isn't it? If I'm gonna commit to this, what am I really signing up for?
How long is this going to take?
And you know what? The roadmap gives a surprisingly specific timeline. So, getting those foundations in place, you're looking about 3 to 4 months. Then the really heavy lifting, diving into those primary texts, that's going to take you somewhere between 8 and 12 months. And then building those bridges to modern fields, that's another 6 to 8 months.
So you add all that up, and you land at around 2 years. 2 years for what the source calls serious mastery. So yeah, it's a marathon for sure, not a sprint. But it's a marathon with a finish line.
But here's a really key piece of context, and it's a big one. This timeline, it's not designed for some full-time professor who has all day to read. It's actually built for a part-time scholar's pace. Don't get me wrong, it's still demanding, but it's meant to be doable for a dedicated learner who has, a life. And all of this really brings us to one final big question, the question that's kind of hiding behind this entire roadmap. Beyond just becoming an expert, what's the real point of taking a journey like this? Why should any of us work so hard to preserve and understand all this ancient knowledge in our crazy, fast-paced modern world? Now that is something to really chew on.